welcome to the latest Reform Scotland pre-election event in partnership with our friends at the Scottish Policy Foundation. My name's Chris Deeran and I'm the Director of Reform Scotland. Today's subject is education and in particular the manifesto published this morning by our Commission on School Reform. Today's panel are all members of the Commission. We'll hear first from Keir Bloomer, its redoubtable chairman, who will outline the manifesto's main content and provide context for its proposals. We'll then hear from Edinburgh University's Professor Lindsay Patterson, arguably the preeminent Scottish academic on the subject of education. Lindsay will be talking about the attainment gap and the need for an education recovery plan as we emerge from the COVID pandemic. And finally, we'll hear from Helen Chambers, co-founder of the excellent and important charity Inspiring Scotland, who will talk about vocational education and how we might capture those kids for whom a traditional mainstream education simply isn't working.
We need really to think about what the problems are and to come up with solutions which address the problems rather than relying on a belief that if you chuck money, the problems will solve themselves. So our proposals start really from an analysis which says that currently Scottish education is not failing, but coasting. Lots of people are getting a good education in Scotland, but a fair number are not realising their potential. We are not really achieving either excellence or equity to the degree that we would wish.
We're having this event in the context of an election campaign. The election campaign is debating lots of things, including lots of individual policies on education. But I doubt if any of that is cutting through to the tens of thousands of young people who are faced with exams this week and next week and the week after, having been told by the government and the SQA that exams were going to be cancelled. And yet, because of the instructions which the SQA has issued to teachers, teachers feel against their best judgment obliged to run prelim-style exams, to require students to do that without any exam leave and without any adequate preparation. It's difficult to imagine how we could have created a worse situation this year for the 15 to 18 year group than we managed last year, but we have. And yet none of our politicians have even raised the issue on the campaign trail.
I think that what we're looking at there is that if you look at probably it takes about £2,000 within the voluntary sector to actually get those individuals to a positive destination, is that you're looking at probably about £100 million to actually start engaging with that. Now, there's been some very large investments in this space recently, but they're not at that scale. But there are some still even bigger numbers being bandied about and have been used with PEF, a pupil equity fund, of 750 million. So it is within our reach to spend an amount of money that is accessible to the Scottish budget in avoiding, we've talked previously about other recessions and elements about having a lost generation. Well, we're about, if we're not careful, to have a lost generation on steroids.